And hello, everybody. Welcome to Post Wrestling's Forbidden Door review. Coming at you at 1:03 a.m. If you had told me 1:03 a.m. way, I would have taken the under if you had asked me this earlier this week. I was thinking 12:30 would be, ideal start time. A little later.
Have we? What's the record? Do you remember? Like, what's the latest we've?
I feel we've gone longer than this. I think there's been longer than this. Tonight, they went off the air at 12:54. So that was a 5 hour and 54-minute show. I feel they've hit 6 before.
Yeah.
Do correct if we are out there. But here we are.
5 hours.
Only 5 hours. And I go on vacation in the next 5 hours. So.
What are you flying or something?
No, driving. Driving.
It's
not.
What time are you driving?
I'm exaggerating. We're leaving like early, but not like crazy early. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope you're not doing that much driving without sleep.
I've explained to my wife how AEW pay-per-views differ from everything else on the face of the earth, and she understands. So.
Well, we appreciate it.
Well, here we are. I got coffee.
Decaf or actual coffee?
Decaf. Okay. Don't think I need regular coffee at this hour.
You might. You honestly might.
Dude, it feels so long ago that this show started. It's a long time ago.
I'm honestly used to it by now. Like, I know what I'm in for, so
It was 25% of your day that was dedicated.
Yeah, I will have seen this pay-per-view longer than I will sleep, certainly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you sample anything else that was going on today, wrestling-wise?
None. And again, I knew what I was in for, so I was not going to make time for anything else. No.
My goal was to at least see some of Slammiversary, but that just did not happen. Of all things, because I do not like watching these pay-per-views live. I do like to have some catch-up time. I did catch the Naraku Tony D'Angelo match.
How was it?
The one-eyed man won clean.
Oh, okay. So that was it. All right.
That was it.
Okay.
And I can't say it held a candle to anything that we're going to talk about on the show. Okay, so that's
all right.
At the end. I'm going to go over just some of the news that came out of some of the other shows.
You don't have to. Trust me. You don't have to.
Well, some of it does pertain to AEW specific. Okay. Well, we can mention actually this now, so I do not forget. But wouldn't you know it, WWE decided, you know what we should do? We've got AAA and we've got NXT. What if we did a doubleheader one day? What if we did one show followed by another show? We'll book a building in Edinburgh, Texas, and we'll start the show at noon Eastern. Well, then the shows will be over by like 7 o'clock. We don't want to go in the evening? No, let's go during the day. Let's start at noon. Well, when could we possibly do this? Well, let's do it on a Sunday. Let's do it August 30th. That's a great weekend, isn't it? Yeah. There's nothing going on at Wembley Stadium that day. There's nothing going on in the afternoon that day. We've got the whole day to ourselves. So on August 30th, you will get AAA and NXT Heatwave back-to-back airing against All in London.
I see.
The only date possible for them. I mean, to anyone that ever hears this company state anything but what this is, you're completely gullible to believe anything than what this so clearly. This is the most blatant of absolute counter programming. It's the most egregious one that they have done to date.
Yeah, sure.
Afternoon, 2 shows, and again, not putting our main roster here up against AEW. So, yeah, what a day it will be in Edinburgh, Texas.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of curious, like, what sort of a bite they think they'll take out of, an AEW audience. I mean, it's not necessarily, I think, affected or worked out so well against AEW, or it's not really affected AEW that much in the past. I don't anticipate it to have any similar effect this time. Like,
this will be right before Triple Mania, by 2 weeks, and Heatwave is just the throw it to the wolves of the NXT PLEs. They did this last year with Heatwave.
They did it. They're doing it tonight.
well, tonight was the Great American Bash.
Oh,
I'm just
yeah, I
saying
guess.
the heat wave branding itself.
All
All right, let's get into the show. We have a lot to discuss tonight. So we are going to the SAP Center in San Jose, California. Over 9,000 people, according to WrestleTix. And throughout most of the show, we got Excalibur, Nigel McGuinness, and Walker Stewart, with Tony Schiavone later chiming in on commentary. But I thought Walker Stewart was a great addition on this broadcast, not just for the New Japan connection. I think he was really helpful for Starlight Kid's match, and one that I would not have thought of off the top of my head, his connection to my world. And in some ways, I thought he was tremendous in explaining like how he called her first matches on the Texas Indies, and the way he was just, you could see him like breaking like his professional code and rooting for Maya World at the end, like reach for the rope. I thought Walker was great on this show. I thought that was a really good call that they made to include him.
I thought he was absolutely necessary. I mean, Excalibur, I think, is very well caught up on pretty much everything in professional wrestling. But to have the voice of New Japan and also Stardom there, it certainly adds a lot to the presentation. I think Nigel did really well. Getting to hear him all show. I thought I certainly prefer him for this sort of role than somebody like Taz. Danielson, I think, would have done great. But I thought Nigel was fantastic. I think Tony was out of his element for much of the broadcast, like whenever he was there.
He is there to be your uncle that follows wrestling, and he's just amazed by everything he sees. He's just there for the emotional support.
Which might have been novel maybe at some point, but honestly, I when you're talking about like shows at this level, in particular shows that I think feature a lot of non-AEW things, I don't think you need him in the broadcast. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder what Danielson's status is at this point. It's been a long time since he's been on a broadcast.
Right, and this was a West Coast show, so
he hasn't been doing any shows, period, over... Right. I've got to say, it's been 2 months maybe since it was right around when he did that interview and talked about his neck, and shortly thereafter, he just stopped appearing on these shows. So whether it's a combination of the fact his wife is now on the road a lot more regularly, he's got the neck problems. Maybe he's got more hobbies. Maybe his book count was down and he needed to, do 3 books a week.
Maybe he's got an early bedtime.
Could be. This is late, even if you're on the West Coast.
Right.
So let's go quickly through the buy-in. Daniel Garcia and Drilla Maloney was a late add, and Drilla looked good in this match. Garcia targeted the knee with various dragon screws, and then Garcia denied the crowd his dancing spot. This got him a lot of heat, used a dragon tamer, and then they were putting over the Drilla Killer as his dangerous finisher. It stopped when Shafir distracts on the apron. Garcia does a twist and shout as a nod to Tanahashi, but then throws away the imaginary air guitar. And Garcia is caught and lifted up for the Drilla Killer, with New Japan getting a win in the opener in 10 minutes, 26 seconds. Fine pre-show match.
It was fine. It was nice that Drilla got, this sort of platform to have a singles match. I thought he mostly sold here, but I thought he did well. And I think he's got a strong look that might make you just simply take notice for that reason, So I imagine there might be some sort of Gabe Kidd tie into this on the New Japan side of things, just given his association with the Death Riders and calling out Drilla Maloney in his storyline. So yeah, well, we'll see if there's follow up on it in the G1.
Or maybe we'll get another video from an undisclosed location by the visa-less Gabe Kidd, where we've been getting of late on AEW. I'm here in fuck nowhere, trying to get my fucking visa.
Must be tough for him to watch like a show like this, knowing that. I'm sure he would have had a big role on it.
Oh, I thought you were meaning literally hard. I was like, no, wherever he is, he probably has my AEW and can watch this really cheap.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, had it not been for the visa, I'm sure it would have been him and Umino tonight. They had shot the angle for it. It seemed everything was geared toward that. Mm-hmm. Micah and Sky Blue with the final spot for this Wednesday's Survival of the Fittest, with the best supporting company president on this show. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if we're handing out awards for Forbidden Door, but Taro Okada is getting one of them. This man, best cutaways all night long. This man... His acting chops were just amazing here. Look angry. Look mad. Uh-huh. This guy was like, okay, some people dial it up to a 10. He just emoted to 50,000, okay, on the scale. Micah catches her off the edge. They put over her judo background and also coming back from Tommy John surgery. Sorry, I will laugh every time I see this, man. She hits a cheeky Nando's kick, or sorry, Sky Blue hits the cheeky Nando's kick and a Liger bomb, and then Micah lifts her over the top and continues with a suplex onto the edge for a big pop, and then Michinoku driver, as they mentioned her being trained by Taka Michinoku, and wins in 9 minutes, 20 seconds. So Micah is the sixth and final entrant, joining Chris Statlander, Hikaru Shida, Harley Cameron, Queen Aminata, and Persephone.
Good little introduction to Micah for an AEW crowd. I think like her powerhouse stature already makes her stand out amongst like most of the crop of the division. A lot of credit to Sky Blue, who I thought did a great job of injecting like heelish personality in all of this, and did a great job serving up this platform for Micah to get this showcase.
And then the Divine Dominion defending the women's tag belts against Olympia and Thunder Rosa. I thought Olympia was awesome in this match. I thought she had a great performance, and to me would be one that I would certainly want to have my eyes on. I thought she really stood out in this one. She received the tag, and she does like a headstand off the corner, starts squatting Lena Cross on her shoulders. Crowd is getting into her as well. This was a great crowd. Like, even like for an Olympia, they were into Olympia. Yep. Like, there was no, oh, we don't know this person. And they, like, Shota Umino was one of the question marks we had. It was like, this crowd made the difference in a lot of these matches. I thought that they had a really great audience here in San Jose. So Thunder Rosa comes with a stomp off the top, crosses in for the save. Bane hits Fate's Descent onto Thunder Rosa. Olympia's in for the save. And then they knock down Olympia and hit Thunder Rosa with the double choke slam. 10 minutes and 48 seconds, retaining the belts. But I really enjoyed Olympia in this match. She was like one of the standouts here of this buy-in.
Really strong match. Yeah, I agree. Olympia, I thought, like, was one of the standouts here, with, I think, Divine Dominion being a perfect set of opponents for her to just, like, squat and military press, you know, just to look impressive for those moves. And I thought she and Rosa looked really good together. Like, they looked like a cohesive tag team, despite them, you know, like team up for the first time here. So, like, I would bring them back as a tag team just to, you know, be able to, again, have these infrequent showcases for Olympia. But I think Divine Dominion, again, they're really just an incredible, like, pair to put your division like around. I think these matches aren't just squashes, but like they've shown that they can actually like wrestle. They can deliver compelling performances. Lena Cross in particular, I hope they have her signed on for a long time, because I think she could be a major single star. I mean, her and Bane.
She's getting showcased a lot more now that these tags are getting more time. Bane has improved greatly. She is one of the prototypes, I would say, of talent that are in the door at AEW, but is kept busy on the independents, and it has shown. Like, you can see the improvements she has made. Do you see them riding with Divine Dominion toward the potential of like Alex Windsor, Jamie Hayter at All In? Is that?
I feel like the Brawling Birds were put together just for Wembley.
Yes,
the challenge. So yeah, I don't see that being. I don't see any other direction than that.
Yeah. So a good buy-in. Like, there was nothing bad on this show. It was just, you know, perfectly good, respectable matches. But it hit another level here I'm just gonna say, for this pay-per-view we're about to review, like, just putting my own like ratings I put here, there was nothing below 4 stars on this pay-per-view. Not one match that I had. There are times we'll talk about the best match of the show. For the pay-per-view, I'd be curious to know what people thought the worst match of this pay-per-view was, because I think that's a tougher question for some of these. So we're kicking off with the Young Bucks against Místico and Máscara Dorada and Shingo Takagi and Titán. Just a unbelievable opener that we got out of the gate here. They're all singing Mi Muera for Místico, and I mean, I thought like Titán got to showcase in a big way, and the Bucks here, they just decided, we're wrestling like this is Arena Mexico, and we're gonna do just all lucha in this match. Shingo Takagi is like, okay, you guys do your lucha stuff, I'm doing my Shingo Takagi shit. And they're like, don't worry, that's going to be perfect. And Dorada was just Dorada here, which was, what a mix this all was. So Nick and Dorada get tagged in early on, and you can tell it seems like this is a really big deal for Nick Jackson here just squaring off. The audience certainly took to it as such, and they do this. The Bucks just did all these cool lucha sequences with El Sky Team. Místico pressed Dorada from the edge. This was the only slip up in the match because Dorada went to get pressed in the air off the edge for a Rana to Titán and missed him completely. So Titán just had to flip himself onto the floor. Takagi was obviously very popular here. El Sky Team hit these tandem tiger feint kicks, and then it's Dorada shooting star off the middle rope to everyone on the floor. And it's Shingo eating all these super kicks, firing back with pumping bombers before going down to more super kicks. There's a Spanish fly by Místico, 450 by Nick, and a shooting star by Dorada. And then La Mística is applied to Takagi. The fans pop big for the move when the Bucks and Titán save. And we get into the closing stretch here as the Bucks catch Titán, super kick Dorada out of the ring. Nick gives a PK to Takagi, and they're left alone with Titán, Meltzer driver, and the win in 17 minutes and 50 seconds. Just a super hot opener.
Yeah, really amazing match to put, at the start of the pay-per-view. And I feel like, coming into Forbidden Door this year, there's been some discussion about just whether or not the concept at this point is outdated. Whether AEW should just maybe continue to focus on themselves for these like big events. And I feel like a match like this is an argument that the concept of these interpromotional matches with no story attached to it still has a lot of value. Especially on a pay-per-view, especially when you can present dream scenarios like you kind of got for much of this. The key to it, though, is I think you do it in front of a crowd that can appreciate it. And thankfully, San Jose was one of those crowds. It started off with like this incredible ovation for Místico, who continues to just like, mainly based off of this entrance, but which carries throughout into the performances. He continues to really feel like the big deal that I think like he is in Mexico, but they've been able to translate that in AEW TV in America really well. And then the action was just incredible for everything they managed to cram in here. I mean, maybe one slight blemish that you might have mentioned, but otherwise, I mean, the degree of difficulty of doing all of this is really incredible what they managed to achieve, and it continues to really like give this like, I don't know, like showcase for Lucha Libre, where it certainly seems to have taken a lot of the international buzz away from Japan as like the hot market and really the hot style of the moment.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know how, like, top to bottom this card looked before. Like, obviously these visa problems created some changes. You had all the differences for the women's Owen tournament as well with people out. But I think generally this is at a point where Forbidden Door, you want to draw based on your big AEW stories and not take a month away from those big stories. But in this case, like when you don't have a red hot New Japan superstar, like the Forbidden Door stuff, it's great for support that builds a whole show, but you're still like all the big stuff on top. It was your big AEW stories. You want to, make this the focus to set up All In, but you had all the support underneath as well. So I thought it was structured fairly well. I understand people's criticism of like where the concept is, but like generally this is a show that has done well for AEW, and I feel this one will as well. I don't know if the concept is going to get as much of the credit for the draw this year as opposed to, the big stuff they had on top, which was your money drawing programs for this show.
Yeah, I think the name Forbidden Door is well established, and I think the concept of like what Forbidden Door is still a draw. Even though in execution, I mean, the top 3 matches on this card were strictly AEW matches, right? But at this point, like if the promotion is hot, then just value the promotion more. Maybe at some point in the future, New Japan gets hot again, or you have something bigger to feature with CMLL, and that becomes the thing you focus on.
The second match on the pay-per-view is Zack Sabre Jr. against Kenny Omega in their third singles match. Their first meeting since the G1 in 2018, which was Kenny's last G1, and back with a brown-haired Zack, which is almost hard to imagine these days.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
So they start off grappling, and we head to the floor. Zack uses the octopus on the table and then gives the middle finger to the fans. And then they stumble off the desk, and Zack targets the shoulder and arm, prompting a chant of "You're a dickhead." So Omega
See, that's the type of chant that like where you know that this is a crowd that, I mean, doesn't really need the introduction to Zack. You know,
Yeah,
they
and
didn't need
you
a
know
promo.
that they're aware because they wouldn't have heard this term on AEW programming.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Omega comes back and he hits a missile from behind and signals for the V trigger, and Zack takes the finger and twists away. There's some snapdragons here. He goes for a third, and now Zack just has counters for everything Omega throws his way. But Kenny, showing off his grappling skills, takes the back, transitions to an armbar, but then breaks the grip, and Omega takes some PKs. Snapdragon is countered into a Fujiwara, and this is all focusing on Omega's injured arm that Zack has worked on. So it's just isolate the body part and Zack prying away at this injured arm. Omega continues to drive forward, uses the bad arm for a lariat, and there's a rear naked choke on the turnbuckle, and Omega falls back, breaking it, and he hits these big brutal knees, a poison rana, and then does a cactus-style pile driver V-trigger, and goes for the one-winged angel, and it's turned into a clutch for a near fall, Zack driver for a 2 count, and they're trading blows. One-winged angel attempt number 2 is countered with a triangle. He slams out of it, and then Omega lands the Kamagoye and hits the one-winged angel to win in 26 minutes and 30 seconds that this one lasted.
So, a very strong match. I can already see in the chat room, like, this was maybe among the most favorite matches for a lot of people on this card. I thought the action was amazing. They went a main event length for it, and I in the moment, I struggled to decide whether or not that was a good thing or a bad thing when it's the second match of the show. By the end of the show, I don't really feel like it was such a good thing, and maybe people will, disagree with that. But I think for me, if you're gonna go that length, I do think like you need to put a bit more effort into emphasizing the motivations of both men to win, because I think there was like that dramatic element that for me was missing from this match. The action was, yes, very strong. It was like big Kenny Omega match type of feel, but I never really kind of felt that next level of like concern for Kenny Omega in losing at any point. I also feel like for me as a Zack fan, I kind of wanted to see a match that featured more of his submission style as a feature. And this really felt more to me like a Kenny Omega match than just a Zack Sabre Jr. match. But tremendous match nonetheless.
I didn't have this as like my match of the show. I thought it was really excellent. This is much better than their G1 match that they had. That would be the comparison point. I have never seen their first match that they had. That was like on a British indie like 13 years ago. They got a lot of time. It was definitely earlier than I thought they would. But yeah, it's one where, I mean, what he was fighting for was the right to get to the trainer's room on Wednesday's Dynamite to start the show with Will. They're going to meet on the trainer's room. Both winners. Certainly. After being both losers after Dynasty.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So speaking of Jon Moxley and Bandido for the Continental Championship, followed that. And man, this was probably not the match we would be expecting blood in. And if you were expecting blood, that it would be from the man that, likes to donate on a monthly basis. So Moxley hits a pile driver on the top of the steps very early on, and Bandido gets busted through his mask, and Moxley starts to bite at the wound. The crowd boos this, and then he tears apart the mask inside the ring, which could cause some anger for people online if they saw his face. And there's ground and pound by Moxley. Bandido hits a powerbomb out of the corner for a breather, and the fans are chanting for him. They're really getting into Bandido's comeback here. They roar, and they're counting in Spanish as he does the 10 punches in the corner. One-arm military press. Frog splash lands on the knees, and then, as he recovers, tries for the 21-plex, which is stopped with a big lariat and a Death Rider, but Bandido kicks out. He now bites Moxley and does the fall-away moonsault off the top, which was goddamn impressive that he hit this on Moxley, and a great near fall for the match. Goes for the 21-plex, but he slips, landing on the apron, and is caught in a rear naked choke. He rolls backward, but Moxley doesn't let go of the hold, turns it into the bulldog, and Bandido is battling to his feet. He's carrying Moxley on his back, and slams both of them to the mat, but Moxley still will not relinquish the choke, gets the hooks in, and Bandido submits at 18 minutes and 10 seconds with Moxley retaining the championship. And then he lays down the belt, offers his hand, and Bandido accepts. Be like, motherfucker, you tried to unmask me. It's my honor here. Fuck am I going to shake your hand for?
Well, all part of the game, I suppose, and maybe what you'd come to expect from a Jon Moxley style. It's all in the code of death jitsu.
What if he had given the paradigm shift to Abuela, okay? And
if he shakes his hand
like,
afterwards, then it's all
I understand. Good. It's part of the game, Moxley. You took out my Abuela. That's okay.
Yeah,
I understand. Shake hands. Respect.
I mean,
at the end of the day.
He's a very complex individual, as you've seen over the past year. Sometimes you love him, sometimes you hate him, right? And by the end of this match, I mean, I think it's been nice seeing Moxley wrestle as a babyface, but he is at his very best when he's a vicious, bloodthirsty heel, and he managed to temporarily transform into that version for this particular program, and he was great beating up the smaller man, making him bleed through his mask. I thought this match had him at amongst his most intense, and it allowed for a great underdog performance from Bandido, who certainly garnered the most out of his big power spots as a result of just putting them in a perfect comeback position. So the finish I found kind of unusual, kind of anticlimactic, especially since you had Bandido crossing his heart almost dramatically, setting up a big I want to say escape from the choke, but instead he just falls down deeper into the choke, as would actually happen in real life, and he tapped. So anticlimactic, but I kind of liked it, because it felt real.
I think you're getting all the Moxley has that win over Ospreay, and I think this guy is just going to be on this tear of continuing to win, because that turn is coming, folks.
Yep, sure,
it's coming, and he's going to be this big winning streak, and I think they're just going to keep Moxley super heated until they're ready to do a big match with him and Ospreay at some point, whether it's this year, whether it's next year. I think
it's important to keep Moxley strong, period, just because he's having a great run with this championship. It's improving the value of this championship, and whether it be Ospreay or whoever is opposing him, he feels like it's a big part of the show,
And now Bandido has to get ready for Death Before Dishonor. He's got to build up his ROH championship resume.
Oh yeah, he's got that too.
Yes.
I rarely think about it.
I know. Many don't. Shota Umino against Pac for the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship. How big of a night was this for Pac? He busted out the singlet tonight.
He does wear singlets now.
Has he worn the singlet recently?
Yeah, he's gotten in this graphic.
No, he had no pants on though.
Oh, okay. That's
he had the shorts, the singlet with the shorts is what I'm saying.
I guess I haven't paid attention close enough. Okay, all right. Well, so you saw his legs.
You got to see his legs, the forbidden legs. So he takes Umino to the floor right away, and Umino starts fighting back, springs over the top to DDT Pac on the edge, and then hits him with a draping DDT off the barricade. Pac then catches him with this beautiful belly-to-belly into the corner and sets up a table on the floor as they state that Paul Turner will allow for some leniency tonight. Yes, leniency would be certainly in order for future matches tonight and this one. Pac busts out a top rope Asai moonsault and then a belly-to-belly off the top, which Umino kicks out from. And Umino he's working as a really effective babyface here. Pac lifts, tosses him over the top, basically an awesome bomb through this table. And my God, was this a table break. He follows with a 450 splash and puts on the brutalizer, and Umino just reaches the rope. So some good drama building here. There's a headbutt by Umino, and then the strike knee for a 2 count. Pac hits the Poison Rana, pop up, but Umino drills him with this big lariat, hits the paradigm shift, and then the second chapter, pinning Pac in 18 minutes and 15 seconds. I thought a tremendous performance by Pac, but I was really impressed with Shota Umino. This is of watching all this guy's singles matches, I thought this one stood out in a big way. And he was the biggest question mark because I did not think he would necessarily just be able to get by on being novel to this audience. Like, I thought he was going to have to really win this crowd over. And it's not like he came out and had some big superstar reaction. He was hardly Místico, but I think the crowd really got into him. And I thought he worked up to the level the audience saw this match in. And he had a really great opponent. I think Pac is exceptionally underrated, and I know that says a lot. Everyone thinks highly of this guy, but you see a match like this and you see of like what a great performer Pac is. This was like, I can't say I was shocked by this match that it was really good, but it exceeded my expectations.
I think I was shocked more so by like the audience's sort of like warming up to it. I mean, but I was also like, I certainly thought it over exceeded my expectations, which I don't exactly know where they were. Like, on paper, I had the lowest anticipation for this match of any on this particular card, and on the main card, I should say. You know, and given like Umino's status, he's not somebody who's earned that crossover appeal yet. And this feud has really just been built off of, like, at least on AEW TV, one Pac promo. So like the reaction at the start, I would say was okay to maybe even lukewarm, like by the standards of maybe the show. But as they progressed and the action kept going, they really caught this crowd. And Umino in particular earned a lot of favor through a really, really strong performance, you know, like, being able to, that awesome bomb was
oh my God,
something I did not expect at all. It looked terrific. It really kind of like,
the setup was so good because he lifts him up and it's like this unconventional way. Like, it's not like a straight razor's edge. It's not like a traditional power bomb. It's just like he gets him up and then he shifts his hips. And then it's like, you remember the tables there. It was set up really well, as opposed to just, okay, let's do a table break and not put any thought into it.
What you also see out of Umino is just like, I mean, picture perfect technique drilled into him, really just, of course, through the dojo. Anybody who comes out of that system, you know, who's starts as a young lion, like has just incredibly well-seasoned, you know, fundamentals that you could really see. Then he's got that whole fighting spirit thing, which again is really well displayed here. But it was also like his hard-hitting strikes that he was able to match Pac with that I thought like really made him catch my attention in ways that maybe he didn't otherwise. So did not think I would say it, but I mean, this was a match where I thought Shota made an impression, and one where I would think audiences would want to see more of him coming off of this.
And again, this goes to the crowd. Like, if you were to look at this card, and I'm telling you it's going to be 6 hours, you could have seen this match technically being very good and just not having a ton of heat behind it. But this one performed really, really well. Moxley and Shafir check on Pac, and then Moxley enters the ring and has a moment with Shooter. And they're looking at one another. And then out comes Hiroshi Tanahashi, President Tanahashi, who is, let's just say, the man, he retired at a good time. Because just watching this man walk down the ring, I was like, this man never has to wrestle again. I don't want to see this guy take a bump again. I don't know what state his hips are in, what state his knees are in, but he's in the right role for his life trajectory.
It is hard to believe that this man only retired.
That this man did the G1 a year ago?
A year ago?
It's crazy, dude. Like, he's aged. Like, he looks fine. I'm just saying, like, physically, like, this man is just, like, there's no comeback that anyone's holding their breath for.
It's only been 6 months.
I know.
He has settled well since his retirement, and the man looks like 10 years different, like, from this.
Maybe some of it's the hair.
It's certainly the hair, and he's gained a lot of weight, you know, and the knees, like, you know, just in that time, just simply haven't improved. So it's always nice to see Tanahashi, but I do think it's like kind of startling that like in such a short amount of time he's changed so much.
Well, now he's got his fellow president from, well, I guess no longer a sister company. We have the new Tanahashi Okada alliance.
That's right. Yes.
He went and took a seat with him. So Tanahashi comes out, just the Death Riders screw off, and he wraps the belt around Umino, raises his arm, and gives Umino the endorsement. And they cannot get this 20-minute segment onto New Japan World fast enough for everyone to watch going into the G1. They're like, look, it was one of Umino's best nights of his career on Forbidden Door night.
There was at least mention of the G1, you know, from Walker. So that was it. Yeah. That's all you need.
Yeah, they didn't promote that Chicago show at all on this show.
Again, you just had
July
Walker
18th.
mention it, and and that was really it.
By the way, we've got a big show coming up in 3 weeks. Tickets available now. We go to Thekla and Starlight Kid for the AEW Women's title, and we got the first of several big entrances on the show, with Thekla coming out with these fire dancers, and this is when Shivani took a seat and joined to Wei's chagrin. And they mentioned how Starlight Kid has 2 victories over Thekla, and we get the Taro cam, which included upset Taro Okada. We also got one from like his perspective where the camera was like over his shoulder. That was my favorite one, where it's like we are watching as Thekla is like spewing taunts toward his way. They really should
have just put him into like a picture-in-picture in the corner.
This is my favorite company official that they have on screen, Taro Okada. This man was a great role. I would have loved to have just been around this guy in San Jose. So there's lots of taunting by Thekla. I mean, her charisma is just through the roof here, and she's got Okada to work off of, which is just ample inspiration behind this character. And she goes up and grabs Okada by the tie and is about to attack him when Starlight Kid comes to her president's aid. And so Starlight Kid snaps Tekla's knee, and they explain how she has been her trainer, El Desperado, has taught her numero dos, so that would be what she would be targeting here. Starlight Kid misses a moonsault off the top and takes a big spear, misses with the stomp to Starlight Kid, and then does the spider walk, but the spear gets stopped by Starlight Kid, who's going for the knee, gets numero dos and swings her around with the move applied, and Thekla just barely gets to the rope. And we see the divine punishment by Starlight Kid onto the edge of the apron, handed down from Black Tiger. Then she goes for another in the ring. Thekla stops a Tiger suplex, tries for an O'Connor roll, and then it's the spider pose into the spear, and Starlight Kid survives. She kicks out. Thekla is fuming. She lands the stomp and yells to Okada, "It's not over." And she hits another stomp, finally winning the match at 18 minutes and 45 seconds. And we went from hopeful Okada to distraught Okada at ringside. And then as Julia Hart and Sky Blue show up, they've got scissors and they cut off Starlight Kid's mask. And you think this is as low as they can go. Such indignity here. And then Starlight Kid's mask gets spit in by Thekla. She spits in the mask and then goes over and tries to put it on Okada and starts beating Okada with the spit-filled mask.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she made a mistake here, Wai, because after all of this, she should have put the belt down and then extended her hand to offer a handshake after this. The Moxley way. But
I don't think she cares to make friends with anybody here. Yeah, no, they're keeping this very hot, and it tells me that, I mean, it can either conclude in Stardom, which maybe you would expect, or it could be dragged out all the way to next year's Forbidden Door. They could revisit this every Forbidden Door, just Thekla versus Stardom. And
this
Taro
intergender
Okada.
match would be massive, okay?
Yeah.
This should be Stardom's big match of the year. It's Thekla and Taro.
The match was good, very strong action. I thought Starlight Kid looked great, but for me, this was the Thekla show. The crowd were engaged for it, and I consider that a great testament to her work in the build, that she pretty much did all on her own. And I do think, like, for this particular cycle, Thekla has gained a lot, just in her ability to be able to, again, sell a program like this pretty much single-handedly, I thought.
This kind of sets up, like, you would think something with the mask here. Like, I feel like to just do no follow-up on this, like, this has to go somewhere.
I would think in Stardom, don't you think?
Probably. Yeah. But yeah, that's probably where you follow it up.
A home and an away, series, basically.
But this is Tony Khan's favorite wrestler outside of AEW as well.
Yeah, true.
So, really good match. Like, honestly, this was a great night for the AEW women's division, period, with more to come. Copeland and Christian against the Dogs for the AEW tag titles. So Early on, Cage misses in the corner, injuring this forearm that the man has not gotten fixed yet. It's just he's got this Fisher-Price brace on his forearm that he continues to work with. I mean, I don't know what this is protecting.
My first forearm brace.
Yes, this was the original here that Cage had. So they get the heat on Cage, and then Connor's literally got the heat by lighting a match and burning Christian's face with the match.
Yeah, well, it's his gimmick.
Yeah, okay.
Matches, yeah.
Cage is crawling towards Copeland, and Connors pulls him off, so they finally build up to the tag, and Copeland comes in, misses a spear, and gets a double shoulder tackle by the Dogs, and then they hit him with a high-low with a spear chop block combo, and Finlay kicks Copeland to stop a spear, and then Finlay is popped into the air by Copeland for a spear by Cage. It's interrupted by Connors, who knocks Cage onto referee Stephon Smith, so the referee is down, and Cope and Connors go to run at each other with dual spears. Spear versus spear. We get a shillelagh shot to Christian with the referee out. And then when you think the Dogs might pull this one out, the lights go out. And there at the entrance appear the Bang Bang Gang of the Guns, Juice Robinson, and Ace Austin. But then that is followed in the ring by the return of Jay White. And this crowd lost its mind for Jay White, and this was probably the most perfect way to bring him back, reacclimating himself with his former dojo mate, partner, rival, David Finlay. And this was really a signal that this was more than just the return pop. It was like this audience understood the history, I thought, of these two. So it was
he was also the guy who kicked him out of the Bullet Club. And you did have the association of Jay White and Copeland before Jay White got hurt last year, that they teamed on the Grand Slam Australia show last year. Oh, right.
I didn't know. I had to look this up. Do you know Jay White has been out since March of last year?
Wow. That long. Yeah.
That long. Like a really long time.
I don't know if this current iteration of the Bang Bang Gang have ever been all together. Like, have they ever been five all together? Like
they've got some of the same genes that the Vision have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a rough sport. So he hits the Blade Runner onto Finlay, and Copeland spears Finlay, wins the match in 16 minutes and 45 seconds. I think this was the shortest match on the pay-per-view. And White presents the belts to them. Copeland is all happy. Cage is not so sold on Jay White, so they argue. So maybe we'll see Jay White's back with the Bang Bang Gang and maybe some loose association with Cage and Copeland. So the Bang Bang Gang is reunited, at least for this week.
Yeah, and they're doing a program with the Dogs, which seems to be at least their immediate direction. And I think like to basically like carry on to the next chapter of that particular feud on this show is really cool, because it's a program that's pretty much directly tied to their New Japan history, right? And it's it kind of makes sense that it would take place on Forbidden Door. I thought the match itself, maybe if you had to name like the least impressive match, not a bad match by any means, but if we want to say least impressive, maybe you would point to this one. This was, I think, your pretty classic tag team match, built around body part work, hot tag to Cope. It was not standout, but I thought it was overall still very well done. But when you include the finish, which I wouldn't always say this about like your rough bump distraction, lights out type of like shenanigans.
No, this really worked.
This one was awesome. Like
it put it over the top.
Yeah, it gave you a great fan friendly moment in Jay White's return. I certainly really enjoyed this. So even this offered, I thought, something really strong.
I'm being serious here, and I'm not trying to play the comparison game, but I'm going to play the comparison game. This would be on par with the main event of Night of Champions yesterday, maybe slightly below it.
This match?
This match.
I wouldn't say that. Not for me.
I'd say it would be comparable. I would probably give the edge to the three-way, but I think it would be comparable. And on this show, like this might have been number 8 or 9 on the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view portion.
Right.
We go next to. Wait, I doesn't want to engage in any of this.
I don't agree with that. But
you don't.
Like, I don't agree that this match was comparable to the Sammy match last night.
I think you had I thought this was a very good match. Like if we're talking just the match itself, I think this was one where you didn't have like the. Again, I would put the 3-way ahead of this, but I wouldn't put it by much above this.
I'll have to go through this after the show. I'll have to go match by match, just
frame by frame,
slot it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mercedes Moné and Maya World for the Owen Hart Foundation Tournament Final. Going into the show, this ended up being like the match I was looking forward to the most because it was the outcome that I thought and clearly the audience, I feel this was the finish that they were most invested in. Like I think, the Ospreay Swerve match, you're going to get this unbelievable match of the year contender. The cage match you're going to get, but I don't think anyone was invested in a finish as they were here. And this was, I just thought, an unbelievable.
Well, this one's real.
It was real. And you could have, as much as like, okay, Mercedes makes sense. Like, I just thought there was a real solid argument for Maya World winning this. And you could tell this crowd wanted to see Maya World. And part of it was like, she also had to have the match of her life. And I think everyone will agree she did here with
for me, even outcome aside, you are faced with the very real like challenge of seeing this woman who has never been put into this high pressure of a situation be able to pull off something incredible on live television against somebody who is legitimately her idol days after suffering, personal tragedy. All of that is not just storyline. That is that is the
third
real
from
challenge.
the top on what is going to be a loaded show, the most impossible pay-per-views to try and contend with, and you're going 25 minutes. You're right. Like this isn't going from, I've headlined TV or I've had some big pay-per-view matches. This is her going from like, she was doing like undercard prelim enhancement and now is thrust into this position. Like it was daunting when you look at like the circumstances here. Moné is out and she's in all of this pink and black gear with pink and black hair as well. And like it's super heated at the beginning and they're going for quick pin attempts right away. And it's not like it's just 100% Maya. It's like, let's go Maya, CEO. They're going back and forth, which really worked. And this is where Walker Stewart brings up calling Maya World's first matches on the Texas indie scene, which I thought added such an incredible dynamic that I never would have thought of by you putting Walker Stewart on this show and then realizing that. I thought he added so much to this, just that connection as well, especially towards the ending of this. Maya tries for the statement maker early on, but it gets blocked. And they head to the floor. They do the spot where Maya's on the floor and Mercedes leads the crowd in counting and they reach 10 as she goes to the floor to break the count. And I didn't know really what the purpose of this was because it was almost like the crowd was like waiting for this count out to be called.
So I didn't really know what that was either. There was another awkward moment in ring where the camera focused on Mercedes, and that was because Maya was having a bit of a wardrobe malfunction that they were trying to have her fix. So I don't know if this was just more of that, where they were trying to like cover for her.
Like, listen, this match it had its rough edges, but they worked so much of it. Like we'll talk later about like this like buckle bomb spot, but like it's
Mercedes versus a rookie. It's supposed to be rough. If you had to script this perfectly, you would script it to be rough.
I never felt this veered though into the like, oh no, they've messed up this spot. Like you can see what they're trying, and it was just like, no, this is what you would legitimately do. And she just, okay, I can't lift her here, so I'm just gonna throw her into the turnbuckle. And they did not bat an eye with any of these like moments that they had in the match, which again is with somebody that is, going into the deep end of the waters for the first time in her career. And again, like this crowd, I just thought they were like, this was the outcome they were the most on the edge of their seats for, because I don't think they legitimately had any idea who was going to win this match. And the drama just kept building and building in this. Moné is taunting away at Maya, stating, you're never gonna beat me. And the crowd just gets louder and louder. Maya manages her Shining Wizard, but Moné's too close to the ropes. So Moné goes for the Three Amigos, and the Frog Splash lands on the knees. She applies the Statement Maker and then kicks off the rope, and Maya, who's done all these cool transitions into covers in the lead up to this, turns it into a jackknife cover. So just like the most simple cradles, the crowd was biting on because that's how she beat Athena, and it's just all these ways of she could just catch her with any of these. Then it really, I think, escalated when Maya started these like bridging fall away drivers, and she just does one into the second, and then the third throws her to the floor. And this just looks so goddamn cool, but basic. And it was just like they were all behind Maya at this point. And Moné blocks a sunset bomb. They're struggling, and this is where she can't deliver the buckle bomb. So instead, she just hits this running sunset and blasts her into the corner, hits the double knees, and we see a backslide attempt countered, and it's into the moneymaker for Maya, who gets the moneymaker here. And this is where we get the dueling chants. And after the moneymaker spot, she kicks out of that, and we get the sunset bomb to the floor where Moné just crashes to the floor. Maya, who nearly slips here, hits the Acai moonsault, and into the ring she goes, hits a follow-up moonsault, and then Moné just barely gets her shoulder up, and Moné counters into Maya's cradle. Maya gets the Statement Maker, and it's Maya doing the famous spot of Moné where she kicks off the bottom rope, but this time Moné is ready and reverses into the Statement Maker. And you have Tony Schiavone, who he yells this one line that I just thought it was so perfectly timed. It's just like, he's like, use your right leg. He's just pleading for Maya World to reach the rope. And it's one final backstabber back to the Statement Maker. And finally, Maya World taps at 24 minutes and 55 seconds. I thought this match was just amazing. If people say this was your match of the show, which sounds nuts with this main event we're going to talk about, I would not. This was number 2 for me, and it was very close. But in terms of the drama, I just thought this was like this was career making for Maya World, and I do feel she should have won this match because this place was going to explode for her. I guess they have their plan for Moné, but man, I just thought that this was one where she just had the match of her life, and this crowd, they were so ready for this woman to win. But it was, I think they're going to follow up very strong with her because this just could not have been better.
I felt they gained plenty with her. Like, to me, the end goal of this match was never for Maya World to headline Wembley in one of the title matches. It's for Maya World to get a standing ovation in defeat. And I think for that to happen, which was already going to be a tall task, I mean, they needed to have a match worthy of a standing ovation, and they did that, I thought Maya World was incredible. First of all, you have to take into account the incredible nerves of somebody like going through what she's going through, being thrust into a position like this that I can't imagine the prep, she would have like had to do for something like this. But then she does this, and I thought she delivered. And like, maybe you can point to like to me, like a blemish, like the slip on the ropes for the Acai moonsault and her recovery from it showed, I thought, a lot more like skill in her ability to just say like, well, I slipped, but I'm going to keep going through it. Like, she could push through that high pressure situation. She could push through mistakes, but her ability to, I think, tease the audience from the tap when she was in that second last Statement Maker, I thought was outstanding. Like, she was in that hold for felt like forever, but like, I want to say like 30 seconds, 40 seconds.
It was so dramatic. It was like the audience was just like shrieking,
job.
And the announcers did such a good, like, go back and listen to Schiavone yelling, and you've got Walker like, come on, Maya. It's like, they put their like professional broadcaster objectivity aside, they're rooting for Maya. It was like the crowd was like, they were just like, this was just an amazing 30 seconds that they peaked towards, and then doing the tap at the end, which was like, certainly there will come a time that you should like you could run this back in a year and it could be that, like this could be
Wembley next year.
This needs to be Maya's big win down the road, and maybe like that's what they're looking at is the long term.
And that's why I'm glad she didn't beat Mercedes, because number one, I think you want to draw this out. You want her to like impress the teacher, eventually beat the teacher, right? I mean, she's already told that story through Athena, but now you can tell it on a bigger stage with Mercedes. But I also felt like this, to me, was one of Mercedes' finest performances. Like, I think it's one thing to deliver a great match with somebody who maybe is at a similar level to you. It's another to completely orchestrate a match and I think carry, somebody who's a relative novice to this level of match, to something that became so emotionally filled and action packed on live television. And I thought, like Mercedes should be incredibly proud of this match. It's a match that I think shows her growth and her maturity as a pro wrestler, especially pushing through that turnbuckle, powerbomb attempt. Again, this final statement maker battle where, oh man, I just thought it was so good. It lifted this card, I thought, to the highest emotional peak up until like this point in the show. And it's not a level I expected them to be able to hit, but they got there.
Do you see it being Mercedes and Thekla at All In? Because that is a weird combo.
Yeah, it would be. Who else do they have? Because Willow.
Well, the question is, do you see Thekla losing this belt before All In?
I guess
I would say no.
Yeah, because what are your options? Montreal, and that's you could do it on TV, but like, what do you see? Because Willow is, I mean, I guess going to be among the biggest baby faces that you could have to oppose Mercedes.
And they're already starting the vignettes for her return, which is weird. Like they're only settling her belt this week. It's like her comeback is like starting now.
Right. Yeah. So, like Willow's destination seems more TBS, rather than World. But if not Thekla Mercedes, what are your other options for that match?
Yeah, they certainly have not built anyone up to be a challenger for Thekla, at least
on the babyface side of things.
Yeah, not nobody comes to mind.
Yeah. Well, that would be it then.
After the match, we go to Renee, who is with Athena, who just cuts a scathing promo on Maya, stating the better woman won, and Maya's win over her was a fluke. So it does look like the consolation prize will be Maya going for the ROH Women's Championship.
Which sounds silly because, I mean, this is the longest reign, in like AEW, at present time, really like one of the longest reigns in wrestling. So this should be quite the accomplishment for her to finally take the belt off of Athena. And if they're looking for somebody worthy, they found it in Maya World, right? So I just hope it gets some play, not just in ROH, but like on Dynamite, and on AEW pay-per-view, because I think it just deserves a bigger platform.
Then, not closing the show is the steel cage match, which, first of all, we have a brand new circular structure.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were working overtime here for this one. The Iron Circle. Remember that? Remember that MMA concept?
What league was that?
Oh, it was
Bodog or something.
Some like mid 2000s. I think it was called the Iron Circle, as I recall. Okay. But yeah, what do you think about the aesthetics here? How did this work?
I think it looks great. Yeah. I mean, it's really just a branding exercise, right? Like it didn't seem to make any sort of significant difference in like the match.
Yeah. You can booby trap it. You can have explosions go off the top of it. So comes with all the bells and whistles
too.
Yeah,
wow. But this was nice. It's something that's AEW's own. Well, I guess WWE has the Elimination Chamber, which is sort of a circular cage, but it's good to change it up. Maybe they'll do a triangle next.
Okay, yeah, for Thekla.
Yeah,
MJF, Kevin Knight, Kazuchika Okada, Kyle Fletcher, Andrade, and Jake Doyle against Mark Briscoe, Darby. One day after Darby's wedding. Take that, Will Ospreay.
Yeah, and didn't take any time off. Or Trick Williams.
Yeah, that's true. Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, Orange Cassidy, and Konosuke Takeshita. We have Max joining his whole team. They're wearing matching Team DC MJF shirts. And MJF and Andrade get into it at the beginning, and they have to be separated by their teammates. So we're already, well, that would kind of bookend this match. So we had the baby faces out with the conglomeration bringing their backpacks full of weapons, refreshments, and humans. So Roderick has this giant hockey equipment bag early on that he's using, and he's just whipping people with this bag with presumably hockey equipment in it, and then he strategically places it underneath the ring for later. Kyle pulls out an original Nintendo in his backpack with controllers. This is when you know that AEW has at least an older audience that are... The pop that this thing got was only outmatched by Kyle blowing into the Nintendo cartridge, and everyone in this arena... Was there anyone under the age of 35 in this building is my question.
No, I don't think so. And I don't know what Nielsen data we still get for this, but like this firmly, I feel like falls outside of the demographic, this pop. But
Yeah.
I mean, like we know it, of course,
Yeah, but we're old, dude. We should not
are.
be the target. So anyway, I didn't know what to say about the audience, but they all went nuts for this.
Yeah.
And then he just used it as a weapon. I was like, fuck, man. Like, these things are...
I'm sure you could still get them.
Yeah, you can, but... Briscoe's backpack has thumbtacks, and then Fletcher lawn darts Kyle into the corner. Kyle, who's like fresh off neck surgery from last year. Then Briscoe is thrown into the tacks. MJF is in the ring with Darby, and he goes to back body drop Darby. And you're thinking, oh, okay, Darby's going to take a tack spot. No. At some insane velocity, the dude flips himself so he comes down like face first, chest first onto these goddamn tacks. Dude, I've never seen a more violent tack spot than this.
Yeah, even Darby looked surprised, a little. This is the guy who I feel like just loves pain.
Dude, his hand was really cut up from these tacks. Like he landed at a horrible. He had no control of his landing, and they showed the replay. Like he goes face first into these and breaks the fall with. Look at this, his forearms and his hands.
God.
This was like, think of like the absolute worst way to take a tack spot, and this guy's like, I'll do it.
Yeah, well, I would think the eyeball, which I felt what came dangerously close, like in this particular spot.
Yeah, so
man.
that was Darby's first spot of the match. Cassidy pulls out from his backpack a gift from Willow. It's orange slices for intermission of the match. Did you ever play soccer? Did you ever have to? We on our soccer team, every game, a different player would have to provide the orange slices for the team.
No, never.
Throughout the season, yeah.
I've never had this experience.
We'd have to cut these and bring them, and every game it was like, oh, it's Kyle's turn. So,
and did you find they helped?
They did, and then one week, someone brought thumbtacks. It was really, and we just wanted oranges. So Okada and Takeshita finally go at it. The fans go nuts for these two, and Takeshita reaches into his backpack and he pulls out the middle finger. I laughed at this. Awesome. I thought it was so good. His timing was very, very good here. There's a coast to coast by Kevin Knight onto a chair that Doyle's holding with Darby and the Tree of Woe, which they explain that's how Darby was taken out of the Continental Classic last year. And then in the spot that nobody could have envisioned, they open up the giant hockey bag and it's fucking Leo Rush in it. And he comes out, he bites Okada, and we get him and Andrade yelling back and forth. It's fine. How you know? Back and forth between these two. Dude, they must love Leo Rush in this company. Like this has to be Tony Khan's favorite character.
Yeah. And
Starlight Kid outside of AEW, Leo Rush inside AEW.
I feel like we said it, but like he's undergone a Tony Storm level of transformation, and it's not what I appreciate.
He was in the what's it called? The Stadium Stampede match. Yep. Now he's in this. Like he's in like the number 2 matches of like back-to-back pay-per-views.
What I appreciate is that like they're not going so full on with him. Like they're not putting him in title. Well, he did win an ROH title, didn't he? Isn't he a TV champion or something? Didn't he win something? Anyway, whatever. They're not like putting him into like TV main events. They're keeping him for these awesome cameo appearances that just like leave you wanting more of him. And this one might have been my favorite Leo Rush appearance yet.
Okay. And then we officially Gollumized Lio Rush because he spots MJF's ring and he wants the ring. He is transfixed
Amazing.
by the ring. This
it.
was really, really funny. And he finally gets hit by a Rainmaker, and Doyle puts him back into the hockey bag, and they wrap a chain around him and throw him underneath the ring, where some fans were very concerned online for the rest of this match, hoping that someone rescues him from this hockey bag. He's alive, folks. Don't worry.
You know, I bet. I mean, I'm sure they have more orange slices down there. Like, I'm sure it's really nice.
I'm really glad that this did not end the pay-per-view. I feel this. I couldn't have imagined anything in the world following the main event that we're about to detail. Yeah. So I thought they made the right choice here going with
I wouldn't have said that going into the show. You know, like
no, neither did I. Like, I thought this would end the show. I thought the same thing, but I think they absolutely made the right decision. So Lio Rush is out, but an awesome cameo he has. They really put over Doyle, constantly referring to him as the MVP of the team. And Takeshita blocks Fletcher's brainbuster on the edge and then Blue Thunder bombs him off the apron through the table. I would have instructed Takeshita, maybe he could learn some like throwing techniques so that he didn't have to take himself through this table for the Blue Thunder bomb. Like, you don't have to leap off the apron too. You could just launch this guy.
Sacrifice play. Right,
well,
you don't get the impact as much without throwing yourself off at the same time.
We were constantly whittling down to MJF and Briscoe, but then they would get interrupted. Cassidy comes in as a shield for Briscoe, and Darby hits the Scorpion Death Drop to Max, hits a coffin drop, and then moves out of the way as Knight comes off the top and splashes MJF. So Knight, fearing Darby, he leaps onto the fence and climbs to the top of the cage. So Darby follows him, and they're both on top, and you're just wondering what carnage is going to follow. And Kevin Knight races across the truss and grabs this bag that has been positioned on top of the cage.
Darby's
and
backpack.
This backpack that explodes, sending Kevin Knight off the top of the cage where there are 4 tables positioned beneath him. He falls down. I think 2 of these 4 tables broke. The one underneath did not. He took quite the fall here after this explosion to his death. And then Darby is left at the top. This dude just scales across, boom, coffin drop off the top of this thing and has like 6 targets on the floor. He did this seamlessly.
Amazing. Yeah. Not unusual, as you would expect from Darby Allin, of course.
So they're all dead. MJF is left with Mark Briscoe, and he hits the J Driller. And you think the match is won, and in comes Doyle for the save. MJF gets to his feet. He demands that Andrade hold Mark Briscoe up for the ring shot, but Andrade decides against it and takes him out with the spinning elbow, kicks Jake Doyle low, and removes his Team DC MJF shirt, revealing his own Pro Wrestling Tees release. Fuck Don, fuck MJF. It's a good thing he kept this hidden all day. I mean, imagine, hey man, what's up with the fuck Don, fuck MJF shirt? He had to really hide this thing all day. And after Andrade exited the Don Callis family, the J Driller is hit, but not onto MJF, onto Doyle. And Mark pings Jake Doyle, the MVP, in 30 minutes, 50 seconds as Mark Briscoe gets his title shot. And it's going to happen on Wednesday.
Yes. Unfortunate audio issues kind of prevented you from hearing the actual promo, but he decided to challenge the for the match this coming Wednesday, which, you know what? Like, I don't know if that match will feel as big as what this was. But I'm totally fine with it, because I thought, like, for a pay-per-view match, they took the 12-man match concept, and I thought they turned it into something that I will be looking forward to every single year. This is something that they will do. I thought this match was so much fun. And I mean, AEW is so consistent in their quality with these multi-person pay-per-view matches. We just saw Stadium Stampede, but I mean, certainly don't feel any sort of like exhaustion, For one thing, it's a completely different style of match. One is completely sprawled out. This is enclosed. This is more comparable to War Games, sure. Yeah, but that's not for a while. And I think like the storytelling in this one was really strong. All the pairings I thought received like appropriate focus. And I just think like the spots are so well put together. The action is great. The surprises are there. The backpacks I thought were like a great way to introduce, gimmicks all throughout that sort of like played to every single person's personality. The Leo Rush spot was just magnificent.
Yeah, that was great.
Doyle was amazing. I think they booked him so well, and they're portraying him as the MVP of the group. I mean, yes, in Mark Davis's absence, you have to wonder if not for the visa issues, would he have been a part of this? But I think like the group and AEW is better for it by being able to establish yet another big man. Because when Davis comes back, he's going to be plenty hot already. So I don't know if I would have had Doyle take the pin. I'll be honest, because they did such a great job building him up. I would have had MJF take it. What's the harm?
I think the outcome of this is going to be that, they really put over Jake Doyle so big, and I think MJF is going to blame Doyle for this loss.
Okay.
I think they're going to play that game, and it almost like babyface Jake Doyle at the end of this, which I don't know if that means you go with that or it's
Andrade turned on Doyle though, to reveal the Don Callis thing. Right?
Yeah, I just think they'll do something here with MJF.
He should be blaming Andrade for the loss, and therefore I think it makes more sense for MJF to take the pin, but maybe they have their reasons.
So they did Stadium Stampede last month. They did this tonight. In 4 weeks, we have Redemption, and a match they have not done this year yet is Anarchy in the Arena. So does that mean in Montreal we are going to get?
And care to read that?
That's why I typed it out. I'm not going to pronounce this.
Anarchy. Okay. Why?
Because they just got to follow these. They got to get all these people on the pay-per-view, and we got to license some music.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Probably not. But they've kind of they made a spectacle out of promoting these, and this one I thought was really strong. It's not just the concept. It's not just the match concept, but it's their ability to again make these incredibly fun with their great pairings, their great surprises that they inject in all of them. So yeah, I thought this was great.
They showed the video as they're starting to build up Willow Nightingale's comeback, certainly bringing her back as being a big deal. I think they're going to do a lot of these vignettes.
It feels a Wembley level type of build that they're starting with her.
That would seem like a good time for this to culminate.
So the question is just whether, so she was supposed to win the TBS, so she probably was supposed to challenge Thekla. Is that still the plan? I guess how can it be since Mercedes is there? Is there a possibility of a 3-way with her and Mercedes versus Thekla?
Yeah, or you get to somehow you could do Willow and Mercedes before the shots on the line. Although I don't know. It's it is weird just doing Thekla and Mercedes 1-on-1.
Thekla and Mercedes 1-on-1 would be weird, yeah. So again, the question is whether or not we expect her to go for the TBS, which she would have a reason to, or go for the world, which maybe she might make for the more compelling babyface heel dynamic.
And then Lexi Nair interviewed Mark Briscoe. Yeah, this was all jumbled. This was they got Michael Cole's audio for this segment setting up the match. I'm sure Tony has this all booked to a T to lead to Redemption. I would have liked them to wait the week till that Beach Break show just to at least have the fallout and make this title match, just have a bit more build for it coming off the pay-per-view. Sure. But
you've got Kevin Knight, you've got Andrade.
Well, that's the argument against it. I'm sure they have all of this booked in. This is the time they want to do it. So Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland closes the show in the finals of the Owen tournament. They did this amazing video of Ospreay voiced by Jon Moxley, the Morgan Freeman of AEW, and taking in Will when you were at your lowest. We didn't break you. You just weren't finished yet. It was just a great voiceover from from Moxley. And then it was, let's just go for the most insane entrances we can muster up, starting with Will, Bane, Ospreay coming out with a fucking legit Bane mask, protruding smoke out of it. Dude, this was nuts. This was all things like Triple H would have like been aroused by watching this.
Oh yeah, he would love this.
So then Swerve comes out on this big motorcycle with a cigar. Quite the contrast here.
Lobo.
Is this Lobo? I don't know anything about Lobo. Okay.
He's in the Supergirl movie coming up.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I'm not alone in people that didn't watch that this weekend.
Yeah, probably not. No.
We start things off and house call, hidden blade, immediately avoided. And so Swerve goes to the neck of Will that you knew would be a big focus of this. He's taunting Will, always being a step behind, and this angers Ospreay, who fires off forearms, and they just have the crowd from the get-go. They do this great exchange.
And keep in mind, at least for us, like we're watching this at 12:15 a.m. We're watching this on Monday morning. And the crowd there are watching it at 9:15. Very respectable time, but they've seen a lot of wrestling by this point.
They've been seated here for a long time. Like, look at it the other way, is that they've been in their seats since like 3:30 local time.
Including, you're talking about the buy-in, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but this crowd did not die. Was there a match on this pay-per-view card that you felt like the crowd dipped for?
I don't really think so.
I didn't feel that at all. Like, I didn't feel any lull on this show. So they have this great exchange ending with a Swerve powerbomb into the power slam, and then we go to the ground, and we knew we had to get it once, the death ground. Onto the floor. I'm ready for him to turn this one in. And it's broken up by, this is exactly the Gracie technique of coffee. The ultimate escape.
I'm sure that's in Gracie fundamentals.
Yeah, I missed that on the Gracie in Action series. Yeah. Yes, just pour coffee on the fucker. And so it turns into an apron bomb for Swerve, and then he catapults Will underneath the turnbuckle. And have you ever been catapulted underneath a turnbuckle?
Close, but no, I'm not.
It can cut you badly, is what I learned here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because Will comes up and the man's ready for a transfusion, and he is bleeding quite a bit. And we get a house call, caught by the Spanish Fly, and Will hits a stun dog and a Styles Clash. Swerve then absorbs a hidden blade, and dude just no-sells it, okay? He's like Road Warrior Hawk taking Lawler's pile driver, and hits his own, dropping Will. And now Swerve goes for a power bomb off the top turnbuckle, and Will turns this into a Rana in midair. The fact that both these men have put on some size over the years, that made this one extra impressive that they did it as smoothly as they did.
Not to mention the blood that was like, that they were covered with, that the turnbuckles were covered with, Like,
dude, this was turning into like, it was only going to get worse. Once Swerve got opened up and we had like gushers going, all I want to know is that there was a moment in Nigel McGuinness's life when he made a concrete decision that, you know what, there's a fork in the road here. I'm either going to work for AEW or I'm going to be against, I'm not going to go into a ring if there's been blood earlier. And now, dude, they're just like, they're painting the whole ringside blood.
On his desk. On his very desk. And, Excalibur kind of alluded to it,
His exact words were, Nigel, your career, it ended.
Yeah. I couldn't help but just think about Nigel, in all of this. But, I mean,
Did anyone watch my fucking DVD?
Yeah. Well, this is the company
he had to make a choice. That's all I'm saying is okay, I'm going to get to wrestle at Wembley. So you know what? Maybe this blood stuff ain't so bad. So they continue here, and Ospreay takes Swerve, and you're thinking he's going for another Styles Clash on the floor, but instead he violently swings this man into the steps, and he puts everything, his hips just like, dude, this hip movement, he sent him so hard into these steps that you had no believability gap of this man coming up and slice to shit here, because he is covered. Like, Will's bleeding a good amount. Swerve went fucking Great Muta here on a 10. He was covered and he's leaking. It's like you could not see this man's skin under this blood.
No, and of course, like I thought he had a pretty famous blade job in that in the first Page match. This I feel topped that. Like I don't know if I've seen anybody
Dude,
beat
when they showed
this
the
much.
bottom of Will's shoe, his
Oh my
boots are
God.
covered. They showed the floor that just looked like it had been just totally covered in plasma.
Yeah, like
So
it's the type of blood that I feel like if I used it for our thumbnail for any of our videos, it would probably get flagged.
it's
Yeah.
like Blue Sky would probably ring up charges on you. He goes for an os cutter, only gets a 2 count, and he starts driving elbows into the back of Swerve's neck. And Paul Turner pulls him off. I hate this spot in wrestling. It's like,
Yeah, me
it's
too.
over. It's the TKO. It's a
Uh-huh.
TKO finish. I hate this spot.
What constitutes a standing 10 versus just a plain, like referee stoppage? Right.
It was just this spot of all the things we saw in this match. This was the only one that constituted the need for a standing count. So Will just goes to the corner and he hunches over, waiting for Swerve to get to his feet at 9 and blasts him with another hidden blade. Ospreay gets stopped on the buckle, and a Swerve stomp is hit to the back of the neck. House call and hidden blade are hit by each man, with each kicking out at 1 before they collapse. So the audience is on their feet. They're going nuts. They struggle, and they have a standoff in the corner, and they decide they're just going to go here. Like 2 bulls coming out of the corner, and they charge at each other with Will hitting the hidden blade, Stormbreaker, and Swerve kicks out. The crowd's going crazy. He shoves Ospreay towards Paul Turner, kicks him low, and hits the vertebraker, but now Ospreay kicks out at 2. Crowd can't believe it. There's a hidden blade and a big pressure for 2, and now the Death Riders appear, and they're rallying. They're chanting for Will. He eats a house call, and instead of going down, he just turns his head to Moxley, and he sees him, and he roars in defiance. Hidden blade is delivered, and then he hits a buckshot hidden blade. I thought for sure this was the finish, but Swerve,
because you've never
out.
seen it before.
He's never done this, and he has proven that someone outside of Adam Page can do the buckshot movement. I thought no one could, because I've seen so many try terribly, but this guy did do it pretty seamlessly. Great kick out. Hits the paradigm shift to Swerve. Hits the Death Rider, but then he rolls, and he hooks the arms, and he elevates Swerve for the Tiger Driver 91. Now, the only thing is just they cut to Moxley because they want to see his reaction, which makes sense, but you kind of like miss the impact momentarily. It was just an awkward cut, but they did show the replay here. But the idea was like Moxley has now seen him become the killer by using the move he swore he would never use again. His work is done, basically, is what Moxley's. So it was a worthwhile cut. It's just it came right at the money shot.
Right.
And he hits the Tiger Driver, wins the match. How long did we go here? It went 35 minutes and 6 seconds as Ospreay wins, and it's the big 35 minutes, dude. Ospreay comes over. He has words with Swerve. The Death Riders present him with the Owen belt and the trophy. They lift him up, and they did this interesting spot where he's on the floor, and in one side, the Death Riders are leaving through the crowd to their they've got neck bridges to do tonight, and Alex Windsor comes down to be with Will, and Will leaves with Alex Windsor. It's like we go our separate ways after this. And that's how the show ends, with Will just holding up the trophy. The big Will Ospreay is all in sign, and he says, "I'll see you at Wembley," to cap off our 5-hour and 54-minute show. I really loved that women's Owen final, but that was number 2 to this match. I just thought this was absolutely a match of the year contender. Shivani says if this doesn't win match of the year, I don't know what to tell you. This might win. This might win for some. This is certainly turning into a race this year. I think Tanahashi and Okada is in the mix. I think the El Grande match is in the mix. And I think I'd throw this one in too, because this was as epic as it comes. And Ospreay has to top this in 2 months.
Oh my God. So I was a bit shocked at hearing 35, because it's one of those matches that don't feel like that at all. And we're talking about this at 12:15 a.m. for us after having watched like 4 plus hours, 5 hours of wrestling, this was the rightful main event, even after that incredibly crazy cage match, which I thought was awesome. Like, this was the type of match where by the end of it, I feel like I feel, and I don't say it definitively because I'm terrible at these sort of ranking things, but like, I feel like this was one of the best matches I've ever seen. Like, that's the type of feeling you get because you just saw these two men like just completely exhaust themselves, delivering like perfection, in all of their execution of everything that they were dreaming and thinking of. Like, they're both perfect opponents for each other because they're both so incredibly athletic, so creative that anything they can think about, like they were doing sequences that I don't even think we could fully appreciate watching in real time. Like, they're the type of sequences that you kind of have to like slow down, rewatch them to really study what each person was going for and countering and then recountering. I thought they really hit on every level of, I think, what you'd look for as a professional wrestling fan, between the athleticism here to, I think, the storytelling. Like, the motivations of both men were so well established in that promo segment, and all throughout the match, you just felt Ospreay going for not just a win here, not just the Owen Cup, but his childhood dream. And for Swerve, you felt him going for recognition and respect, and the idea that he's no longer going to be taken a back seat, no longer going to be overlooked for anybody, including Will Ospreay. That desperation, I thought, played itself out throughout the course of this match because both men were willing to die for this outcome. So between the story and the motivation, Swerve just is outstanding. What a big game player, like, to the highest degree. The match layout was just incredible. Like, this was the type of match where, like, there were numerous kickouts, but I thought each one of them were justified because you just wanted to convey everybody, like, both men just putting everything they could into the match. It gave you gore, gave you story, gave you athleticism, and I don't know if Ospreay Kenny will top this. Like, I'm say it right now.
I'll say, like, at the 15-minute mark, I was thinking to myself, I was like, this could have so easily headlined Wembley. Like, this match could have headlined Wembley, of like Swerve going in as your heel champion. I mean, that's one option. I was thinking, like, very similar to you of like, listen, Ospreay and Omega, they're going to have all the history behind it. I'm sure it's going to be incredible. But if I was Kenny Omega watching this and knowing that, my God, like, we have to outdo this, because this could have easily been like they wrestled this like this was the culminating match of the entire year. That's how they worked this one. That's how it delivered. I just thought this was incredible. I think this was one of the great AEW matches of all time. I thought it was, up in that discussion point. Yeah, it capped off a really, really excellent show. And I can't even necessarily say this is going to be AEW. I don't know if this was better than Double or Nothing. I might put it a little below Double or Nothing as an entire show. But I don't know if there was anything on Double or Nothing that topped this main event.
I feel like, again, I think Double or Nothing I might have enjoyed in totality more, but like the top three matches on this one are incredible. And I know a lot of people really love Zack and Omega. I liked it a lot, but maybe not to the degree most did. But when you just couple all of that with, I think, the quality of wrestling all throughout the card, I mean, this was another really, really excellent pay-per-view from AEW.
Yeah, tremendous show from the company, and now they will. So, I mean, they pretty much have to get this Montreal show. Well, you have MJF and Mark Briscoe on Wednesday, and the potential of a Kevin Knight match in there as well, and somehow you've got to get to MJF's title defense in Montreal and setting all of that up. Like, what is the logic for that to happen? Does Kenny have to insult his balls? Don't you have the balls, Max?
That's exactly how they'll get there. I mean, all it would take is one promo segment, honestly. If that, like, like they will get there fine. And
are Kenny and Will gonna meet in the trainer's room this Wednesday, and they're both winners, and then next month after Redemption, they meet in the trainer's room, and now Kenny has the belt.
Sure. Yeah.
This all has to end in the trainer's room.
Yeah. What does Ospreay do in the meantime?
It's a good question. It's a good question.
How soon are we getting this Death Riders? I guess he could still pair with the Death Riders. I don't see them breaking him with, like, I don't see Moxley, Ospreay until after Wembley. You know, just seems
you
like
could do
too
like
big of a-
like I joked about the anarchy in the arena, but you could do some kind of Death Riders with Will type of thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
Personally, I'd be like, Will, you just stay healthy until England, okay? We don't need you on this pay-per-view. We've definitely got the depth that we can do a pay-per-view without you. You just stay healthy for Wembley. That's the
Do yoga
the bigger goal
from now
but,
until
like, there really is not a need for a big singles match from Will on this Montreal pay-per-view. Like, even like putting your title shot on the line. Is that really going to have?
No one's going to buy it, first of all, and it's just unnecessary.
Yeah. So unless it's something with the Death Riders, I mean, or you'd have to just shoot something. I guess the other question too is like, at what point you expect like a Hangman return? Like they certainly invoked him quite a bit in the lead up to this, and right here with the buckshot spot as well. If that ties in, like,
and the Deadeye,
like Hangman and MJF makes a lot of sense. If MJF loses the title and MJF having a big match at Wembley with Hangman, that's one way you could go.
Yep. Agreed on all of that. You also have Bucks versus Copeland Cage that you can go to, and Speedball.
Yeah, dude, that three-way tag match is going to be criminally forgotten on this show because it was so early in the show. That three-way tag was I watched that match. I was like, that might be match of the night right there. They might have it sewing up, and I think by the end of it, it might be number 4 for me.
Sure, yeah,
3 or 4. So. Given that it is 2:30 in the morning, we are going to forego feedback. We did not put a thread up for this one, so I hope people understand just due to the late time. We have still put in 90 minutes here for the review, so we will get back to feedback, but these AEW shows, folks, you got to cut us a little bit of slack. Monday, Davey Portman and Braden Harrington, they will be going live at 11 a.m. Eastern to review the Great American Bash Show, which, let me just look here. So we had that announcement for August 30th. I guess the big news coming out of that show was Kendall Gray winning the NXT Women's title, Tony D'Angelo retaining. Slammiversary had the big title change was Nick Nemeth beating Mike Santana to win the TNA Championship, which is certainly going to fuel the speculation about Mike Santana and what his future is going to be in TNA. The Hardys regained the tag titles in a ladder match, in the 4-way ladder match. Zaya Brookside won the Knockouts title from Lei Ying Lee, and they announced Amazing Red and Conan for the TNA Hall of Fame, which will be done Bound for Glory weekend in October in Tampa, which, given Conan's health issues, it's a question if he would be appearing at this, but Amazing Red, they did what I imagine was the surprise announcement, as they like to do. They finished Ultimate X, and then Kazarian threw to a video package, and they revealed he'd be going into the Hall of Fame. So, that was kind of the only news I had seen coming out of Slammiversary.
And Apollo Crews, you mentioned?
Oh, yes. He came back. He's reverted back to Uha Nation. He appeared as one of the 2 opponents for Mustafa Ali, who Mustafa retained the international title, but it was him and Rich Swann in a 3-way as well. So he's in. I mean, very good performer. I don't think a guy that's going to be a difference maker or anything, but somebody that, was there for a long time in WWE and is.
It's a good place to rehab your value, which has, I think, been really shot during his WWE time. So I look forward to seeing what he can do.
All right. So Wai is going to be back Monday night. I am off Monday, but I will be back for Dynamite this week. So, Wai, who will you be chatting with Monday night after Raw in Atlantic City?
Jack Wannon will be joining me on Rewind of Raw. Yeah, he's putting in a lot of work over at postwrestling.com tonight with our AEW Forbidden Door coverage, as he does pretty much every single week, and he will be busy over on the website tomorrow before joining me for Rewind of Raw. It'll be a long night for Jack, so I thank him for joining us in your place, John.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone for staying up late or waking up early for our Forbidden Door review. We appreciate all of you. You can head on over to postwrestlingcafe.com. It's a brand new month coming up. We have a packed lineup for July on the Post Wrestling Cafe. It's going to be the start of our G1 Climax coverage. We're going to have shows covering every single tournament match with our team here at Post Wrestling. We'll also be doing Rewind Aways, covering WrestleMania 21, the Heels series. We're going to be reviewing several of the episodes from season 1 this week, plus an Akira Hokuto retrospective that Way is going to be doing with Bruce Lord, and double shot coverage looking at each week of Dark Side of the Ring season 7 and WWE Unreal season 3. So a lot to consume over at Post Wrestling Cafe. $8 gets you in the door for all of these bonus shows, plus the extended editions of Rewind to Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown, Collision Course, and ad-free. What better way to consume than ad-free?
No other way.
No. All right, everyone. We're going to fall asleep. So good night, good morning, and we'll talk to you later.